trying to find out where the next meal was going to come from. There are Christians who were starving to death, wishing they had just a piece of bread. There are Christians all over the world that wish they had one page of the Bible they could read. And here we got more Bibles in America, and the average Christian doesn't even read it. It's on the shelf collecting dust. Where we have missionaries that wish they had a page they could read. We don't know what it's like to suffer. Okay? I hope we never have to experience it, but if we do, God will give us the grace to get through us. Amen? Why? There's no fear in love. Secondly, perfect love casts out fear. Perfect love casts out the fear. Now this is a critical note. For only a love that is growing and growing will be blessed by God. If you're not growing in the grace and the knowledge of Jesus Christ, then it's going to be hard for you to experience the love of God that casts out the fear. Okay, you have to be growing. That's important. A believer cannot love one person and hold feelings against another person. That's not growing in love. That's not casting out love. You see, true love is impartial. A person who really loves everybody. There's no such thing as a heart filled with love and hate at the same time. It can't happen. Do you realize that? You can't love and hate at the same time. It's impossible.
How about hate and sin?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So we have to be careful. They're incompatible. Yep. So the only believer who knows peace and assurance of God is the believer who's being perfected in love, and that love casts out all fear. That's important. A lot of times Christians fear other people or situations, and I'll show them this verse, and I'm saying, you know what your problem is? You're not loving the Lord like you should. You don't love the Lord like you should. If you really love the Lord like you should, there should be no fear here.
That's what should give us our boldness.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep. So perfect love casts out that fear. So if you're in fear and you're in anxiety and you're in this and whatever the problem might be, you gotta consider your heart and say, you know what, I'm just not loving Jesus like I should. Isn't it wonderful when you experience the love of Jesus in you, how bold you are, how secure you are, and how wow, I never experienced. Why? Because you're falling in love with Jesus. That's what motivated the disciples, was their love for Him and their love for the message. If they truly didn't love God and the message, they never would have witnessed in the first set. They never would have done it. Now, thirdly, fear has torment. It does. That is, it thinks about and expects punishment or some kind of suffering or some kind of loss. A person that feels that something is going to happen to him. You ever read people like that? I have. I just know something's going to happen to me today. I just know something's going to go wrong. I just know it. I feel it.
Glass half empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Glass half empty. I don't know. I think I want to stay in bed today. Something's going to happen.
It's a lovely pain.
You know? Listen. Such feelings, of course, cause all kinds of disturbances and problems. Do you realize this morning that if we let ourselves live in fear and in torment, this produces all kinds of sufferings in our life. It produces a loss of health, a loss of loved one, loss of wealth. You know, your future is bleak. You don't think you have a future. You think God is after to get you. Oh, I'm going to lose my job. Oh, man. Then anxiety, dread, alarm, fright, panic, terror. Those are all symptoms of one root problem. You know what that is? Fear. Those are all the symptoms of fear. And God says, you don't have to live like that. If you just love me, with all your heart and soul and might, none of this stuff will happen in your life. Boy, I tell you what. And what happens when all this panic and fear and fright comes in, it causes all kinds of unpleasant emotions, phobias, neurosis, psychotic disorders. The torment of fear is one of the worst problems that faces mankind. And it'll all go away if they just come to Christ. Amen? And then when you come to Christ and you fall in love with Him, lock, stock, and barrel, all of this stuff goes away. I tell you, I did a whole series, remember here, on keeping Christ the center of your life. If you don't keep Christ the center of your life, you're going to have all of these problems. Because everything goes in, all the emotions goes into where? The body. So you have to be careful here, okay? And what goes into the body, that makes the drug world rich, makes the psychiatrist and the psychologist rich, and they thrive on that stuff. Isn't it amazing when you come for biblical counseling? Oh my goodness, it goes away. Because the psychology world and the psychotic world, they don't believe God has the power to change people.
Dr. Jesus.
Yeah. They don't believe that. All over the years, how many people come from me for counseling, had all of this, led them to the Lord, and they got saved, and boom! All of a sudden, everything goes away. Listen, be careful. This is, listen, I want you to notice, fear means that a person is not perfected in love. It's that simple. Give me an example. What is it that causes a mother or a dad, if a baby all of a sudden, a young toddler, 3, 4, all of a sudden runs out in front of the road and there's a car coming? What causes that mother or dad to run into that road without what? Fear.
Love.
It's love. They don't care if they get killed. They don't care. They don't even think about getting hurt, do they? Their one thought is, I got to get that child out of the road. Now, if they didn't love that child, what would happen? Oh, they'd say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
They didn't love the child and say, why don't you go play on the road?
Yeah. One time I saw a parent, the child's acting up, and the mother goes, 1, 2. I'm thinking, when are you going to count to 20? The child will learn quickly, I can go to 20. My mom won't do nothing. My dad won't do nothing to me. And my kids, once, twice, what happened? They didn't get to the second time. And you know what you're teaching that kid? Huh?
How to count to 10.
Yeah. And they yeah. So that same parent, I went up to him, I said, that's how I noticed it didn't act too well. I said, if that child went out on the road, would you count? Hey, get out of that road now. 1, 2, blap, dead. Listen, love, that reason why a parent will die for a child, or even another Christian will die for a Christian, is because what? They love them. Love drives the fear out. You see, fear means that a person is not perfected in love. A person is not loving another person like they should. He's not growing in the Lord. He's not growing in love. His eyes are upon himself and not upon God and upon others. Most people and most believers who do not have the love of Christ in them are self-centered. All they care about is themselves. And that's a terrible place to be. The biblical love, according to the Greek word, means what? Biblical love is action, thinking of others before one's self. Boy, if we practice sacrificial love like that, the church would be much better off, and the world too.